on behalf of the Strategic Relations Task Force. Our committee helped to put this presentation together today, and we're excited that you're all here. There's going to be a lot of great information, and our time today is Con Ed approved, so you will get your certificates by email after this is completed. First, I want to take a minute to thank our sponsors today, Lake Michigan Credit Union. Thank you for joining us and for sponsoring our event today. Meg Dunn and Andrew Clarkson are here with us. We'd love to have you come up and maybe say a couple words. Thanks again. Thank you.
I just wanted to jump up here real quickly. When this event came up, it just sounded like the perfect event for Lake Michigan Credit Union to want to be a sponsor of, because it's really about the community, and it's about making the community a better place and attracting people. And I think that that's really one of our missions. I think that's one of the things that binds us, is that we really want to show people that Grand Rapids, it's the best place to live, to play, to work. And it's got the arts, vibrant downtown, and we're committed. We've been part of Grand Rapids for 80 years. We're building more branches. We're hiring more people, providing more mortgages and more financing. So just thought it was a great opportunity to partner with GRAR in providing this event. So just wanted to say thank you for that. And then just real quickly introduce, because we have somebody new part of our mortgage team at Lake Michigan Credit Union. That's Andrew Clarkson. And Andrew has joined us as our new Grand Rapids sales manager, moved here from Arizona. So you might want to talk to him about why he made that decision. Although he's here now. He's been here about 3 weeks, so he got a little bit of the cold in February. He's from Michigan originally, so I think he'll adapt quickly. But I know he's very anxious to work with our sales team and with many of you as well to continue our partnership in the Grand Rapids market. So thank you very much.
Our first presenter today is Lisa Verhill with Experience Grand Rapids. Lisa is the Visitor Service Manager. She develops and implements the Certified Tourism Ambassador Program, which is a newer program to the area and has just made fantastic strides in helping to welcome people and teach them more about West Michigan. It's a national certification. It's tailored specifically to Grand Rapids. Lisa trains and oversees the frontline staff and ambassadors at all institutions who come in contact with visitors to Grand Rapids. The intent is to ensure that the visitors have a memorable experience that contributes to the overall economy of our community. She holds a master's degree in educational leadership and administration from Michigan State University and a bachelor's in second and community education from Central Michigan University. Lisa and her husband, Dan, also own 2 local restaurants, One Trick Pony and the Cottage Bar. The Cottage Bar is the oldest pub in Grand Rapids, and they have delicious burgers. Lisa and Dan reside in Byron Center, and Lisa moved to Grand Rapids in 1981 from Farmington Hills. Please help me to welcome Lisa.
Thank you. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah? Okay. First I'm going to start off because I want to share an email that I got just yesterday from one of my CTAs who needed a shout out to get volunteers. And a lot of the organizations, when they need volunteers, come to the Certified Tourism Ambassador Program because they're educated about the history of Grand Rapids, the attractions, and customer service. So I got this email from one of my CTAs, and she says, Lisa, you may remember me. I was one of your CTAs. And I was also somebody who stopped in the restaurant off the highway in passing and came into One Trick Pony and decided to move here. So the experiences that they have are very impactful, and I think that there is one individual that now works at Cygnus, who was responsible for bringing Bookings.com here based on an interaction, because Bookings.com did not want to move here. And they went over, what is her name? Carmen. Carmen now works at Cygnus, but at that time she worked at Trey Cugini. And this guy did not want to be wined and dined by, help me, blanking out, boom. Didn't want to be wined and dined by the Right Place program. So he decided to go off on his own, and that's normally what they do, is they, wine him, dine him, and everything. So he wandered off and walked into Trey Cugini, and the first thing he asked the person was, why do you live in Grand Rapids? And she says, are you kidding me? Look at the natural resources. There's outdoor sports all year long. Look at the cranes. It's constantly in a state of building and revitalizing its area. So the impact of that frontline person became very, very important to me. The walls of One Trick Pony got a little bit small. I was selling advertising at the time. And I used my Facebook page to promote Grand Rapids with 2 feeds, West Michigan and Grand Rapids. And Doug Small started liking my post, so I asked him for a meeting, and I said, you know, as a previous educator, it concerns me seeing everybody come to Grand Rapids and whether or not the people will get the right answer. Like, I walk down the street and I feel like I've got a bubble on my head that says, ask me, which is great, you know, but if they got the wrong answer, how would that affect them? And how would that affect the future of potential residents as well? So in any case, the program we developed, I waited 6 years for it, but in the process of waiting, I would go down the street and ask people, can I help you? Because I felt that that was something that I needed my fix, and it was something that I could do until I was actually in the position. So in any case, this program, like she said, was a program that is a national program that's customized for the area. I added all of this because it became very clear and apparent to me that it wasn't just the frontline people, the people in restaurants or the hoteliers or anything like that. I have people from human resources. Amway has trained their meeting planners that are international. Steelcase is now having me train their IT people that are seeking job applicants to come into the area. It's become much more than that. But I did meet with the Grand Rapids Area Realtors Association prior to starting the program with the powers that be and wanted to let them know that this was coming. And there's Berkshire Hathaway, Keller Williams that are getting on board. So I'm throwing the gauntlet down. Is this going to go forward? This isn't working. Maybe the batteries are dead. Can we have help? Yep. Sorry. That's why teachers take an AV class. Yeah, something happened and this is not working. So while we're getting this up, the next slide. Cities for Cities came to Art Prize 2 years ago. And we very quickly grabbed a bunch of B-roll and put together a video because when you go to a convention, do you really get to see the town? No. And we wanted, if we were getting CEOs for cities to come to Grand Rapids, which doesn't happen for a city of our size, we want to make sure that we showed them and showcased Grand Rapids. To the Hopefully it won't have a commercial. Some of you may have already seen this. And this is what we're playing on, is the collaborative, innovative, pioneering spirit. piece to put under your signature as a link. Okay, so the concern is, would visitors get the right answer, and does it matter? Of course it does. Of course it does. It matters, and these are the hard numbers. Not during Art Prize, not during the quilters. There's 4,200 out of the 7,000 hotel rooms in Grand Rapids occupied, with approximately 6,300 people. And if somebody asks 2 questions, we've got 12,600 opportunities to get that question answered correctly. So my takeaways from the CTA class, and this is something that I inserted, it's not part of the program because I'm very right-brained, and I want the people to stay with me who are right-brained to understand why we do it. Once a day, we ask somebody, can I help you? With the open hand of hospitality, making sure it's the right hand, because in subcultures, the left hand is derogatory. The open hand of hospitality, we take them to the destination if possible. Thank you for coming to Grand Rapids. We hope you'll tell others what a great place we have here, and we hope that you'll come back soon. Here's my card, okay? And then good visitor guides understand visitors' needs, so be a visitor in your own town. We give every person who goes through the CTA program a little booklet that allows everyone to go with another significant other to every museum in Grand Rapids along with Frederick Meyer Gardens, so we promote it. And we feel that Grand Rapids exceeds expectations in every way, in the quantity of our activities, attractions, warmth of our hospitality, and in the power of our imagination. Now, we go through the program. These are the 2 items that are customized for Grand Rapids, but the other ones, anybody you see in the entire country with this pin on, has gone through the same training. And I'm happy to say I started this program in August of 2013, and I have trained well over 1,600 people as CTAs. Matter of fact, Truscott Rossman wanted to do a program with the media, and most of the people they contacted have already become CTAs. Okay? It's kind of the new cool kids club. All right, so there's people, and that happened because Tim Rotz from the Right Place program saw all the people wearing these pins whenever Southwest had their inaugural flight into Grand Rapids. And he called up Doug Small, and he says, hey, you know, I have a little case of pin envy. How do you get in the cool kids club? And he said, and I Facebooked him, and I said, you know what? I hear you have CTA envy, or pin envy. Here's the cure. Go to ctanetwork.com. So I'm proud to say that we've got people from all these areas certified, but here's some more hard numbers. I don't know if you know this, but it's good information for you to keep in your quiver, so I'm teasing you with this information. Kent County tourism generates $1.19 billion annually. That's huge. If we did not have it to support our infrastructure, each one of us would end up paying $1,060 more. Okay? So tourism is really there to help us improve the city, to make it more viable for people to come live here, visit here. Okay? This is how it breaks down in Grand Rapids as of the end of January. You notice most of it is hoteliers, but I also certify people in the Hospitality 101 class. I entered a collaborative agreement with the university. I discount the rate, and then they split it with the student. So the student has a vested interest of $10, and then so does the university. It normally is $35, and every year you have to renew, you know, like your continuing education units, you have to renew by accumulating 50 points by visiting and seeing attractions, and then a $10 renewal fee. So if you have any questions, I'd entertain answering them at the end of the whole presentation because I understand we're waiting to the very end, right? Okay? But thank you for your attention, okay? Any questions? I'll field them later. Thank you again.
Let's give Lisa a big thank you for the presentation. Continuing with our collaboration today, we want to welcome Michelle Lonergan with Local First. Michelle is the membership coordinator for Local First. She has worked in the retail industry for over 20 years, both as buyer and an independent store owner. Prior to working for Local First, Michelle owned and operated Treehouse Books in downtown Holland for 8 years. During that time, Michelle created an organization of local business owners called Lakeshore Independent Business Alliance with the mission of supporting local business through community education and outreach. As executive director of Lakeshore Independent Business Alliance, Michelle grew the nonprofit organization from 20 independently owned businesses to 130 members. In 2013, that organization merged with Local First of Grand Rapids, and today Michelle works as Local First membership coordinator on the Lakeshore. Currently, Local First has over 700 members. 170 of them are located in the Lakeshore communities. I think Michelle is actually out in the in the lobby, so we're going to need to grab her real quick. One quick reminder that we are going to be doing a question and answer session at the end of all of our presentations today, so do hold those questions for us. Let's grab Michelle and we'll bring her in there. Again, help me welcome Michelle Lonergan and Anthony Pizzoli.
Everybody hear me talk? Yes? All right. Awesome. Thank you. I can hear you guys too, so we're all doing good today.
Yes. Is that, can you hear me? Yes? Okay, it's hard to tell. Tony, well, I'm just setting up over here. You want to talk about what this cool picture is?
Yeah, we've got this picture hanging up in our office, and it was done by a local artist named Reb Roberts. If you guys are familiar with like the downtown, the East Hills, the Cherry Hill neighborhood, Reb does a lot of wild art that shows up there. And it's got Local First on top, it's got the environment, it's got the community, it's got a bunch of great words on it like kindness, joy, love, we are glad to be together, all types of things like that. And it's a really joyful picture. And we like to think that that's a good representation of what our organization is trying to do by building a really joyful community. And so we're really happy to have this in our office. We look at this every day. And yeah, we figured this sort of summed up what we're trying to do and the type of vibes that we're trying to create out there. So figured we bring it as a prop to sort of get us all in the mood. So thanks for being here today. Is the lunch good? Yeah, I guess you guys probably can't say it's bad, but yeah, it smells good.
Here. Okay.
One more quick interesting story about Reb Roberts. If you guys are all familiar with the Marika Treves restaurant in the East Hills neighborhood over there, it's a great place. When there was nothing going on there, Reb made a little painting and said "Center of the Universe," and he put that there. And now that sort of area has taken on that name, the East Hills Center of the Universe. And that original picture that was at that vacant lot there now is in the Marika Treves restaurant. So if you go in there, you see that. It's another really cool thing he's doing in the community.
All right, cool. I think
Yeah.
we're ready. Well, thank you for inviting us to be here today. Michelle Lonergan, Anthony Pizzoli. I'm the Business Development Manager with Local First, and Anthony is our Membership Coordinator, and we're really psyched to be here to talk about Local First. So I understand we have 25 minutes, so we're going to try to talk quickly because we've got a lot to tell you about. But Anthony, why don't you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about how you came to Local First?
Absolutely. Again, my name is Anthony Pizzoli. I moved to Grand Rapids back in 2002 to go to school at Aquinas College. I've lived in the community ever since then. I used to work at the West Michigan Environmental Action Council for a while. If you guys have a rain barrel at your house, you've probably talked to me about that. And now I work at Local First. Before I worked there, I volunteered at a lot of their events because I thought they were doing really good things in the community. And after living in Grand Rapids since that time, since 2002, I've really seen what local businesses have done in our community. Like they've come into business districts like Wealthy Street, like Cherry Street, like downtown, and really transformed those communities into really cool places to live now. So it's great to work for an organization whose work you can see reflected in where you live. So.
Yeah, and I came to my Local First journey probably about 12 years ago. That is when I opened up an independent bookstore in Holland, Michigan on the main street. I used to own a bookstore called Treehouse Books, and I owned that for 8 years. So it's kind of interesting because I've been had my foot on both sides of the divide. So it's really an awesome opportunity to work with all locally owned independent businesses with Local First. But at that time, it was really difficult. It was a tough time in the economy, and the Local First movement was just gaining momentum. And myself and 10 other business owners in Holland got together and started our own Local First movement on the lakeshore. And flash forward to 2 years ago, and I had closed the bookstore, and I actually came to work full-time for Local First in Grand Rapids, and the Local First on the lakeshore merged with the Local First here in Grand Rapids. So we are all one organization now. We have over 800 members, and they are dispersed throughout the lakeshore from Saugatuck all the way up to Grand Haven and throughout Kent County. So with that, we'd like to start the presentation with a very short film that we debuted at our annual meeting back in January. So let me see if I can get this going here.
Being a member of Local First has been such a great asset for us because it has really connected us to a movement in the area.
I really feel like Local First has answered the call for our community for local food. It seems like in Grand Rapids only a few years ago, it was simply a novelty to have local products in your restaurant. But now the demand is such that menus are even writing names of farms and connecting people with products.
The Local Treasure campaign was an idea hatched by Local First to give local businesses a voice in their communities, to be nurtured through different marketing and advertising campaigns.
Insight is Local First conference, and what was really cool about Insight is you could hear from business owners that had been in business for years and had a lot of experience and still apply some to our new business.
We had started with a sustainability program here in our office. And by using the impact study, what we found is that there were lots of additional things that we could be doing.
Local First, and specifically its Local Treasure campaign, engaged the community by doing a Local First treasure hunt and bringing physically new people into the store with that, which was amazing.
Local First done a fantastic job. By not only networking restaurants like myself with purveyors, we've also done a fantastic job at incorporating the community and educating the community about these relationships we have. Like events like Gather, which is a fantastic event. I had over 150 attendees, 6 restaurants, 6 farmers, 4 local craft beverage companies, and it was a fantastic event. Really great to have the community engaged and aware of all the different offerings that Michigan has.
Emily Lopes with Celebration Cinema had reached out to us after the Insight Conference and invited us to come to one of their weekly staff meetings at Celebration North and see firsthand. And we were just so welcome there, and they followed up with us, and we were able to immediately implement some of the things that we learned in our own staff meetings and our own management development, and that relationship came from the Insight Conference.
You need good, long-standing, sustainable businesses that create opportunities for people, and Local First is focusing on that, and that excites me.
People are on the lookout for Local First and their initiatives.
And it's already established such a powerful brand that to say you're a member of Local First really comes with something that's super positive.
It really is a great organization.
All right, so that kind of gives you an idea, a nice overview of some of the work we're doing in the community. I'd like to start with this. This is our mission statement. And this is basically our heart and soul. This is our essence. It's the reason we exist. It defines a concept that we like to call localism. So at its very basic, it's about building healthy, sustainable communities backed by economies that are stronger and more resilient. So how do we do this? Well, we do this by using regional resources to meet needs. So we connect investors with entrepreneurs. We connect eaters with local farmers and local produce. We connect business owners with their communities. So at Local First, we believe that ownership matters. We believe that place matters. We believe that nature matters. We believe also that relationships matter most. So we believe that investment in locally owned business is key. So with local ownership comes local accountability. So when you live in the community where you work, where your business decisions are felt, you're more apt to make better business decisions, right? So this is a picture right here of one of our businesses, and you can see the Local First sign in the window. We define local in a very simple way. So Tony, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, there's really 3 ways we use to define what a local business is. They're locally owned, they're privately held, and they're headquartered in a community. We have over 800 members here in West Michigan. A lot of those businesses, probably 65% of them, are small businesses. There's somebody making cookies out of their house or working in an incubator kitchen. Also have some really large businesses that fall into this too, like Meyer and Celebration Cinema. And all these businesses have these 3 things in common. They're headquartered here in West Michigan. They're not publicly traded, so they're privately held, and they're owned by somebody who lives here. And we found that really makes a big difference because, like Michelle said, when you live here, when your business is here, when your family is here, you're held accountable for your decisions that affect the area that you live in. And these people who have these locally owned businesses really keep that in mind when they make their decisions.
So local ownership is key. So our mission statement and our values, though, are not based on lofty conceptual ideas. They're actually based on facts and figures. And this picture is a town in Chicago, actually north of Chicago, a place called Andersonville. Has anybody ever been there? Yeah. Oh, it's a really neat place, isn't it? About 10 years ago, it had a high density of locally owned businesses. So there were a lot of local coffee shops, local wine shops, local bookstores. And at the time, it was getting a lot of attention from some big local chains. And the local chains were starting to move in and price out some of the mom and pop stores. Mom and pop stores started closing. Well, a very progressive thinking Chamber of Commerce there said, all right, wait a minute, we got to stop this. We got to figure out what's going on here. We like our character. We like the character of this community and the uniqueness of the community. So they hired a group called Civic Economics, and it was one of the first studies of its kind done in the United States. And I'll show you the results of that study. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to sum it up for you. Basically, according to the Civic Economics study, when consumers chose a locally owned business over a non-local alternative, $68 of every 100 stayed in the community versus 43 of every 100 if you were spent it on a non-local. So that money stayed in the community in the form of taxes paid, wages and donations, local supply chain purchases, and local services. So here in Grand Rapids, we thought it was important to do our own study. So in 2008, we hired the same group, Civic Economics, to come to Grand Rapids and do a study of our own. The fascinating thing is they came up with extremely similar numbers. And our study did an additional thing. We decided to test out if you shifted 10% of your consumer spending to locally owned businesses, what would happen? And here were the results. $140 million in new economic activity, 1,600 new jobs, and $50 million in new wages. So those are hard and fast numbers. So we also believe that local businesses create character and prosperity. We talked about ownership and why ownership matters. Local businesses contribute to a sustainable community. Place also matters. We see our role as fertilizers of the soil in which our local businesses can grow and thrive. So this is a picture of Yesterdog, a very iconic business in Easttown. Tony, tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, one of the really cool things about local businesses is that they're very unique to the region that they're in. When I moved up to Grand Rapids in 2002 to go to college, none of my friends were like, hey man, we can't wait to take you to Applebee's. There had already been I've been to Applebee's before, but they were like, hey, we really want to take you to Yesterdog, or we want to take you to the Kava House. Or there used to be a little record shop in Easttown called East Tunes. And all these different unique local businesses give that place flavor. Yesterdog gives the Easttown community flavor. Just like if you go over to the west side, you have places like the Anchor Bar and the Broadway and all these really unique Grand Rapids things that give these communities their own unique identity. Do the same thing with downtown with all the bars down there and the art museum. These are really specific things we have in our community that really make it a special place.
We believe that local businesses also have the opportunity to create better customer service. The ability of a local business to determine the best way to serve their particular customer makes for a plethora of creative benefits for the consumer. Being greeted by name is just one of those benefits. You may find personalized service, free gift wrap, free delivery, local events, free author events, those types of things. I can tell you one of my favorite places that I go to where the customer service is through the roof is Marie Catrice. Has anyone Ever been to Marie Catreves? If you haven't, you should definitely go. It's a wonderful place. Tony, you want to tell us a little bit about Marie Catreves?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier I used to work at the West Michigan Environmental Action Council, which is in that same building as Marie's is, which was a blessing and a curse. It was great to eat all that food. I spent all my money there. But when Marie was still alive, you would go in there and she would greet you like you were her best friend, and she'd been baking cookies. She offered you like a piece of cookie. It was wonderful. You just don't get that at other places. You get that at their local business because they're invested in a community.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever walked in a place where not only maybe the people know you by name, but there's a sense of joy from the people behind the counter, and you actually feel loved when you walk in. That's how I feel with Marie Catreves. I walk in and I feel a sense of love. I mean, that's pretty cool.
We're feeling a lot of love in this room, too. So you guys are doing a good job. Thank you.
So we also believe that local businesses create competition and diversity, which is a good thing, because that equals choice. So opportunity matters. This is a picture of 3 venues on the same block in Cherry Street and GR. So we believe that we're all better off when we're all better off. Real security comes from a diverse community. So Tony, talk a little bit about the craft beer industry and how they're leading the way in competition and diversity.
Yeah, as we all know, I'm assuming a lot of us like to drink beer, a lot of us like going to a lot of the breweries around town, and that's one of the industries that's really using a lot of collaboration, which is great. You'd think that eventually one of these breweries is going to come into town and fail. It seems like there's a new one opening all the time, but they don't. They all support each other. They're all sharing ideas. Rockford Brewing Company and Brew Vivant, for example, have a bike ride they do between breweries, and they have a beer that they brew, the same recipe, but they brew it a little bit differently at each place. So these breweries are working together to really bring the entire industry up, and we're seeing how that works. We also had a speaker a couple weeks ago come in named Judy Wicks, and she owned a restaurant in Philadelphia called the White Dog Cafe. I don't know if anyone's ever been to this restaurant. But she was talking about how when she started this restaurant years ago, her niche was going to be that she was going to locally source all of her food and have ethically raised beef and pork and sheep on her menu and have really good food because nobody else was doing that. This was how she was going to beat her competitors. And she was thinking to herself when she finally got to that point, like, wait a second, do I want to live in a world where I'm the only restaurant that's doing this? Or do I want to live in a world where everybody's doing this? That's the norm. And so she shared those secrets. She shared those farmers with her competitors because she knew that was going to build a stronger, more sustainable community. And it worked. Not only did she do great, but her competitors did great too, and her suppliers did great too. So it really helped build a strong economy. That's the same thing the craft beer industry is doing. They see that like if we collaborate, if we all work together, it's good for all of us. That's what local businesses do.
So we believe that local businesses also invest in the community. This happens to be a picture of Guy Bisani's building, who does a lot of work in the community with sustainable buildings. And you see a lot of this going on the west side of town, right, Tony? Talk a little bit about that.
I don't know, you guys, I love the West Side. West Side is my favorite place to hang out. I love going to the Anchor Bar. If you guys have ever been there, it's a great place. But there's a lot of investment going into that community because it hasn't always been that nice. It's sort of been run down kind of recently. But you got Harmony Brewing Company's building a new brewery right there. You've got the New Holland Brewery's coming in. There's a new restaurant going in called the Black Heron Restaurant. They have a great list of ciders on draft. So you see local business owners coming in, building places in their community, and really bringing those communities back up.
We believe that local businesses also build healthy communities. So we encourage all of our members to share best practices with sustainable business initiatives. And we encourage a holistic approach to community engagement. We believe that the most direct route to change in the community comes from local businesses working together to address economic, social, and environmental challenges of the community. And we do this every year. We award Local Motion Awards at our annual meeting, which we just had in January. And we award both individuals in the community and also business in the community who are giving back in a variety of ways, whether they have sustainable business initiatives, whether they're doing green building, whether they have great programs for their employees, paying a livable wage. We try to recognize that. And we also believe that local businesses create jobs. I mean, this is intuitive, right? And we encourage our businesses to source from one another both products and services. So finally, we get to the part that we're really all about. We're about building relationships. We at Local First see ourselves as bridge builders, as connectors between people and businesses. And we like to cultivate relationships. So we do this in a variety of ways. Some of these pictures are pictures of our mixers. If you're a member of Local First, we have quarterly mixers. We actually hold them both in Grand Rapids and on the Lakeshore, but it's a great opportunity to build relationships with each other, and we do them in our member businesses. So these are a couple of those pictures, but we also do a variety of community outreach events. And Tony, I'd like you to talk a little bit about those events that we have in Grand Rapids.
Yeah, absolutely. How many of you guys have ever been down to our Local First street party? It normally takes place the first weekend in June. I see quite a few hands. Our organization is really two things. We work as like a networking and a support system for locally owned businesses. We also do a lot of work to educate the community on why it's important to shop local. So we have these outreach events. Our street party that takes place in June is our biggest one. It's 13,000 people downtown in front of Bistro Bella Vita to listen to music, to drink local beer, to dance, to do sidewalk chalk. There's kids activities. It's a really good time to sort of expose people to the local businesses we have here.
And tons of great local food.
There's tons of great local food. Yeah, if you guys haven't come, you should definitely come this year.
June 1st.
June 1st, yeah. There's a really cool poster for this one. We're going to have a billboard. You'll see it. We also have a great food event. I'm assuming all you guys like to eat, or at least have to eat to survive. We are human beings. So every day stuff's going into your mouth and you're eating it. We have a ton of great food events. Our biggest one takes place at Roman's Gardens. It's called the Fork Fest. There's 60 different food vendors there. You pay a ticket price, come in and try food from all of them. It's a really good way to actually connect to the people that are growing, making, and producing the food that you're eating. It's another way that we educate the community on like the really great stuff that we have here in town.
And we also believe in collaboration. So we collaborate with a lot of other organizations in town. This is an event that we did last year. And in fact, we're doing it again this year. We're collaborating with the Holland PSD and the Holland Farmers Market. And we underwrite their chef series. So that we're there every Saturday talking about local food and connecting consumers to their local farmers and local chefs. We also collaborate with our local business owners. We do an Insight Conference. We just had our Insight Conference yesterday at the Biscuit Treehouse, which was phenomenal. We bring local business owners in. We have an interactive forum in which they can talk to each other about their challenges and their successes. And then we also have an Insight series where we bring in members of the community to talk to their peers about different challenges that they may be experiencing within their businesses. And we've also recently partnered with something called B-Lab. Has anyone heard of benefit corporations before? Awesome. Tony's going to tell you a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, a B Corp is a business that's really taken the idea of just being a business and like move beyond that. They're looking at their business as more of a change agent within their community. The idea of it's not just about the bottom line, it's about the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit. Businesses that become certified B Corps have shown measurable ability to do that. And these are really amazing businesses that are investing in their community. They're using sustainable practices. They're treating their employees fairly. They're offering a really nice wage, and they're giving back. And currently in West Michigan, we have 5 different B Corps: Gazelle Sports, Brew Vivant, Cascade Engineering, Bizani and Associates, and Better Way Imports out in Zealand. These are businesses that are they've earned this distinction. They've worked really hard to get that, and they're working to educate other business owners on how they can reach that point too. So that's something we really encourage for a lot of our businesses to be, is to stop seeing yourself as just a way to make money. What can you do to be invested in your community? What can you do to give back? What can you do to be more? And so a lot of our Insight series stuff, a lot of these classes we have, a lot of our events where we're networking people together is based around these ideas of making our businesses better, because that makes a better community.
Yeah, one of the really cool things about this is that we are one of 3 organizations in the country who are debuting something called the QIA, and it's a quick impact assessment. It's actually something prior to taking the B Corp assessment itself, but we are offering that free to all of our members, and it's a way for it's a shortened version of the actual B Lab assessment. So I think it's like 30 questions as opposed to like 40. Yeah, so it's a way for all of our businesses to measure themselves and compare themselves and see how they're doing in terms of giving back to their community. So we're pretty excited about that. We've also recently collaborated with our farms, which is really cool. We got a grant from the USDA to work with all of our farms in Kent County and all along the lakeshore to work with them with their CSAs. So we just had a great event at the downtown market. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I wasn't there, Michelle, so I can talk about it. And neither were you. We were both on vacation. But we're really excited about this whole CSA program. I don't know if any of you guys have CSAs or have gotten a CSA before, but it's a really good way to support the farmers in our region. It's also a really good way to connect back to where your food's coming from. We have a lot of farm-to-table restaurants right now. A lot of them are really committed to eating food that's grown in season. Well, tomatoes don't grow in Michigan in early spring, and strawberries don't grow here until later on in the year. And so when you get a CSA, you're actually getting the food that's grown here at this specific time. And right now, your first couple of weeks, you're going to get your CSA to be a lot of root vegetables and beets and greens. That's what you're going to have to eat. And so it's kind of cool to eat in season. You're eating stuff that's supposed to be here, what your body really should be eating at this time. And CSA is a really good way to do that. It also supports the farmers because you're buying the stuff ahead of time. So they know how much money that they're going to get throughout the year. They can buy the right amount of seeds. They get a little bit more security. And that's really important to have a really healthy local food system. So the CSA program we're doing is really cool, and the farmers are really excited about it.
All right, so now we want to tie in Local First to what you folks are doing, right? So on your left there, and by the way, please take a directory on your way out. Those are our 2014-15. Our new directories are actually at the printers now, and they'll be hot off the press like in
I think May, sometime in May.
Yeah, so we'll make sure we deliver a couple boxes here to the offices. But go ahead and take the ones that are on the table over there. We have enough for everyone. This is a great resource for our members of our community, but also for you.
Yeah, me, Michelle, and I, we're really excited about coming out here and talking to you guys. When you really think about it, we're both trying to do the same thing. You guys are trying to sell somebody a house or an apartment or a condo, whatever you're trying to sell people. You're also trying to sell them a reason they should stay and live in this community. Trying to sell this community as being a unique place to live, this neighborhood as being a unique place to live. Why do they want to live here rather than live anywhere else? And that's what we're trying to do too. We're trying to promote how great of a community we live in and really build that vibrancy. And so a lot of the stuff we're doing, educating yourself about, hey, these are the local businesses. If you move into this neighborhood in Midtown, this is where you can walk to get a beer. This is where you can walk to eat. These are the cool, unique places around here that makes you want to live here as opposed to somewhere else. And so being acquainted with these local businesses, getting on board with this type of stuff can only help you guys do your job better too. And to provide like a better reason to purchase a house from you or to purchase a house in Grand Rapids. I think that's really important. So we're really glad you guys are here to listen to this stuff. We're pretty jazzed.
So this just gives you a basic idea of our reach as an organization. You can see that we have over 18,000 followers. We have a dedicated social media person on staff. So we are huge on Twitter and Facebook. Our membership has grown 33% in the past year, which is huge. We get a ton of media coverage. So we're out there. We're out there and engaging in the community. And change is happening. So people, we run this education campaign. That's part of what we do. But people are starting to get the message. I mean, I think people have the message. Yeah. People are talking local. I'm out in the community. I hear people saying, hey, local's important to me. I like to shop local. And this is a result of the Institute for Local Self-Reliance did an independent survey data of all of our members and then members of Local First across the country. And you can see that some of the results were really impactful. 78% reported an increase in annual revenue. Those are Local First businesses. And then recently we did a Voice GR data, a survey of greater GR residents, and you can see that people said 69% prefer to shop locally. That is a huge number. And 73% said that locally owned businesses in their community make it a unique place to live. And 63% said there was a business in their community that they consider to be a local treasure. So those are phenomenal numbers. So I would like to just end with saying that the numbers are solid evidence, right, of what we already know intuitively. Buying local is good for all of us. And when local businesses, investors, and consumers have a shared commitment to localist values, we have the opportunity to create healthy, sustainable communities. So localism is exploding. It's exploding across the country. There's new business models, there's new ownership models, there's new funding sources, there's new currencies, there's new ways to collaborate. So we at Local First believe that national prosperity begins here at the local level. It begins in our communities, in our neighborhoods, and in our downtowns. Changing the way our economy operates begins with the individual, right? It begins with each one of you. So I think we have a couple minutes, so we'd like to open it up to any Q&A, anything you guys might, any questions you might have about our events or membership or anything like that. Yes?
So is Local First a national organization or was that created here?
That's a great question. So there are Local First organizations throughout the country. We, I don't want to necessarily call it a parent organization, but we belong to something called BALI, which is the Business Alliance of Local Living Economies. And that's an organization, that's a national organization that we actually belong to and attend like national conferences and share best practices with them. But this Local First Grand Rapids is just here. It's a regional organization. But you'll find, I think there's about 85 Local First organizations across the country.
And we're actually the third largest Local First organization in the country. The only two that are larger than us are Local First Arizona and Local First Utah, which are statewide organizations. We're the largest regional organization in the country.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I do.
Yes.
This is more from a commercial real estate aspect, but so let's say in the uptown area, you have a local resident who owns a building. So they're local. That building is something they rent out. That's a business. It's a national franchise that wants to lease the building out. That's frowned upon over there. You can't blame that local owner for signing a 10-year lease with a national restaurant, and it tends to be frowned upon. Do you guys have a list of business owners who want to get into stuff? Is there a way to help? I mean, a lot of people would prefer to see a mom and pop place instead of Pizza Hut on Wealthy Street, but no mom and pop place wanted to open up. So you can't be upset with the owners that signed in a deal with Pizza Hut, but yet people are, and it's a local person who actually owns that franchise. Are they considered local if they become a member of yours, or?
We actually had that. It's strange that that's what you bring up. We had that in the building where our office is. And Guy Bizzani owns that building, and a national franchise pizza place, Topper's Pizza, moved in there. They actually may be a regional franchise. Guy Bizzani founded our organization, so he is all about local. But he also has to pay his bills, too. And so he had this regional franchise move in. And a lot of people look at that and you're like, gosh, I wish a mom and pop's place could have moved in there. A lot of people feel that way. He had moms and pops places in there that didn't work out, so he's got to pay his rent. One thing that I personally feel about that is that when you have those national chains like that, like a Pizza Hut or like a Buffalo Wild Wings downtown on Ionia Street, those are places where people feel safe because they know what that is. And that's also a draw for them to get them downtown. So I may go to Buffalo Wild Wings because I'm familiar with that. I may go to Topper's Pizza because I'm familiar with that. Or the Little Caesars at the corner of Wealthy and Fuller because I'm familiar with that. But on my way there, or maybe if there's a line, I'm going to look across the street and see a local restaurant. I'm going to look across the street and see somewhere else I haven't tried. And so those places can act as magnets to attract people to the local businesses in the area. So while it definitely is important and super cool to have as many local businesses as we can, having those national chains actually can be a benefit to them too, and also provide income for the guy who's trying to rent out that building. The second part of your question, though, are they allowed to become a local first business member, like a chain? Unfortunately not. Like the guy renting out the building can, but the actual chain can't because they are a franchise. Even though it is locally owned, they're still paying franchise dues that are going somewhere else. So a lot of the opportunities that we offer to them, like networking and advertising and different things like that, they're getting when they pay for that franchise. We're offering that to the people that are starting from their own. And it's great. I think that people that own their own franchise, that's really cool. There's probably people in here that know people that own their own franchise. That's really great. But our organization is strictly for businesses that are local. Does that help?
Yeah, I just was curious to what your insight was because that's an issue that comes up quite often over there.
Yeah,
so.
we hear it quite a bit ourselves.
Yeah, thanks.
And one other thing, too, is a lot of people are really jazzed about Trader Joe's coming in, which I'm pretty jazzed about that, too, because there's really cheap wine, which is great. But a lot of people are like, how do you guys feel about Trader Joe's coming in? It's not a local, it's a national chain. They have really great products. Our organization is called Local First. It doesn't mean local only. And we just want you to start thinking that, hey, the first thing I think about when I want to go grocery shopping, I want to buy something, is what are my local businesses? Doesn't mean that's the only place you can shop. We just really want that to be at the forefront of your thinking. So when Trader Joe's opens, definitely going there to get wine. So.
Any other questions? Yes.
I have like a long question, I think, but we're all business owners.
Yeah.
You're talking to,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times we need shared services. So do you ever offer that to the businesses that you're representing? Like sometimes you don't need to duplicate.
Yes.
And
We are working on a program like that right now.
Okay.
It's called Localize Your Office. That's the working title right now. But we're working with The Right Place and Lakeshore Advantage, and we're working with a couple of other organizations to come up with something. We've gotten that request from a lot of our members, and we think we can probably be the right person to do that, the right organization to do that. So we're trying to get out in front of that and hopefully unveil it within the next 3 months.
that's wonderful. 'Cause
Yes.
then it helps them be successful.
Yes.
Because I know that as a business owner, you're not always great at, I had to figure this out the hard way, but your paperwork, your taxes, your accounting, and yeah, that's just it's a wonderful service to be able to provide that.
Yeah. We hope to report more on that in the next couple of months. Great question,
Great.
thanks. Thank you. Did you have a question?
Yeah, do you have a newsletter that you send out?
We do. So we have a quarterly print piece that we send out snail mail.
Yeah.
And it goes to, I believe right now it goes to over 6,000 households, but you can sign up to receive that on our website. And then we also, if you're a member, you receive an e-newsletter once a week on Mondays. We have a variety of ways for our members to co-promote and co-market with us. So there are ways, if you are a member, to get your name out in front of our large constituency by advertising in those pieces too.
And we also have like the Facebook and the Twitter and all that stuff too.
Yes?
What's the membership fees? Does it depend on the size of the business or how many employees are in there or
Great
how are they
question.
structured?
It is based on full-time equivalency, so whatever you report to the federal government. So if you're a sole proprietor or up to 1 to 3, it's $165 a year. And it goes up from there. 3 to 12, I believe, is $220.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
and
a
we cap it
380
at
something and
550.
550.
550.
Yeah, that's where it stops.
Yeah, but we try to make it about probably 75% of our members have
65,
between 1 and 12 employees. So we're really aware of the challenges of small business ownership, and we try to keep our membership dues really competitive and low. So, yeah.
Does your website kind of function the same way as the printed directory? Like if I sent someone to the website, would there be a giant list and like ways to connect with the businesses?
Yeah, there's a lot of the information you'll find in the directory is the same information on our online directory too, only it's searchable. You can search for like local dry cleaning or local restaurants or anything like that. It's all searchable by zip code and area code and keyword. But all the same information is there. There's actually a little bit more information about those businesses and how to contact them on the online directory, like maps and things. Yep. Anything else?
Well, we'd like to say thank you for having us here, and if you have any feedback or advice for us, I mean, we would love to work with you. If you need materials from us in any way, we'd like to provide that. So just let us know if you think that there's something that we could do better for you. So.
Yep, definitely. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Megan Saul is with us from The Right Place.
There you go.
Megan is the Business Development Manager for Local Economic Development Organization, representing Kent County and the greater West Michigan region. In her role, Megan focuses on the retention, expansion, and attraction of businesses in West Michigan. She's also involved with initiatives related to workforce development, innovation, and technology. Prior to joining The Right Place, Megan spent some time with International City and County Management Association, ICMA, in Washington, D.C., where she worked on a USAID project that provided capacity building to local governments in Afghanistan. She's worked on several state and congressional campaigns, and she started her career in local government at the City of Wyoming, where she served in a variety of administrative and economic development positions. Megan holds a BA in International Relations and an MPA from Grand Valley State University. Currently serves on the boards of Hello West Michigan, Neighborhood Ventures, and most recently is a trustee for Grand Valley State University. Her involvement with GVSU also includes mentoring with the Cook Leadership Academy and serving on the board of the alumni chapter for the School of Public, Nonprofit, and Health Administration. Please welcome Megan Saul with The Right Place.
Okay, let me get up and running here. I just want to thank you all for having me. And I want to say thanks to Michelle and Anthony and Lisa as well. We have great partners here in the region to work with, and we appreciate getting to partner with them on a daily basis. There we go. Okay. I'm happy to say that I am certified with the CTA network. I also live in the East Hills neighborhood and am happy to do a lot of my shopping and eating and dining there. So again, it's great to have partners like Local First and Experience Grand Rapids. And together we are doing amazing things in West Michigan. You probably all know it's kind of an easy time to sell West Michigan. And as The Right Place, first and foremost, we are a marketing agency for the region. So we are able to take advantage of some of those great things going on. So today I'm going to talk sort of on a high level about who The Right Place is. I think a lot of folks say, oh yeah, The Right Place. Right, that's their president CEO going to Germany and bringing back companies. Well, that's part of what we do, but a huge portion of what we do is the retention part as well, retention and expansion. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the organization, talk about some of the key business influencers that we see that get people to move here, expand a business here, or otherwise. and then just a few tidbits at the end. Just a little about me. I grew up in West Michigan, Allendale and Hudsonville. I've been in and out of the community several times, most recently to DC. I'm happy to say that I was once a tenant of Kay Courtney's, who's here today. And when I moved back from DC about 3 years ago, I was planning on renting and got back here and started looking around and thought, oh my gosh, no, I need to be a homeowner. That's what I need to be doing right now. And got myself a great little condo on Fitzhugh. So if you're ever in the neighborhood, stop by, or I'll take you to one of our local watering holes. Okay, so about the Right Place. The Right Place, first and foremost, we are the local economic development agency. We're a nonprofit. And so we exist thanks to a whole raft of investors in West Michigan, including the Grand Rapids Association of Realtors. So we appreciate your support of the work that we're doing and hope that you're certainly finding benefit in it. So we are in business for business, and our mission is to promote wealth creation and economic growth in the areas of quality employment, productivity, and innovation in West Michigan by developing jobs through leading business retention, expansion, and attraction efforts. So we're kind of a unique nonprofit in that wealth creation is very much a part of what we want to try to create here in West Michigan. And most nonprofits aren't really about that, but we have the luxury of getting to do that and to work side by side with business. So it's a great opportunity for us. And again, business retention, expansion, and attraction. I think most often when you hear about the Right Place, what you hear about is the attraction projects. You know, new companies coming in, international companies coming in. But in all honesty, about 80% of what we do is work with local companies who are already here, make sure they stay here, and help them grow. Just like Local First, we're very concerned about local ownership, because the minute one of our companies or manufacturers is being controlled out of Chicago or Ontario or somewhere else, that bond to West Michigan, it shifts a little and it changes, and it's much easier for jobs to disappear when that happens. We are really blessed to have a board of 38 individuals. We just moved offices downtown. We used to be in the Waters building, and we're now across the street in the Ledyard. And for the first time ever, we actually have a boardroom that can fit our whole board. We used to have to go to the Amway and have folks there, but now they can actually come see our space. And again, 82% of our funding comes from the local business community here. So the fact that we're trying to help community and the businesses, they then give back and support our efforts. And so again, we are very lucky to be in such a benevolent community where people understand the importance of collaboration and working together. So we're blessed with that. The Right Place is turning 30 years old this year, and our president CEO, Birgit, has been at the helm for about 27 of those 30 years, which is pretty amazing. And I see some heads nodding. You've all grown up with her and have known her for a long time, and she continues to be just really a dynamo, leading the region and helping bring more business. Over those 30 years, we've helped to bring in about $4 billion in capital investment and just over 40,000 new and retained jobs. And this is the piece that I would imagine you are all really interested in, because when folks stay here and when they find jobs here, they need a place to live. And that's where you all come in, and we are very thankful to have you. So just a little about the Right Place. In 1984, some of our city's forefathers came together, and they were facing a downturn in the economy, and they were all running successful businesses, and they said, okay, what are we going to do here? How are we going to keep the region moving? We can't do this as a full-time job, so what are we going to do? So they engaged the help of the Battelle Memorial Institute, and the results of that study basically showed that West Michigan needed a full-time economic development organization and a couple other things. So out of that, as it happens in West Michigan, when people feel something needs to be done, they get together, they find the money for it, and stuff happens here. And so the Right Place was born in 1985. And again, it was born to strengthen local businesses, assist with expansion, and then attract outside businesses to the community. Our first board chair was Jay Van Andel, a name that's familiar to many of us. Since that time, in 2015, we continue to be sort of the regional leader for economic development in West Michigan. We do have some great partner organizations, Lakeshore Advantage, which covers Ottawa County and North Allegan, and then also Muskegon Area First, which covers Muskegon County. Some of the services that we provide, and again, if you are working with a client who may be coming in because they're starting a new business, or they're going to be working with one of our manufacturers or something similar, feel free to refer to us. Let them know that we have these services available. We're here to work. We focus mostly on manufacturers and large service providers. Anyone who's selling a widget or a service outside of the region so that new money comes in, that's how we feel the economy is built, and that's what puts money in people's pockets to shop local, to have visitors in and to take them out and to do some of those other things. So some of the things that we do in our day-to-day, domestic and international business development, confidential site location searches. So if we have a company that's either looking to locate here, or maybe they're here and they need a bigger facility and they might have to leave the community they're currently in, we can help them find new space. We also partner with the Commercial Association of Realtors, CAR, very closely on that. And I was actually doing a panel for them yesterday, so this is my real estate week. Local supply chain and partnership opportunities, guidance on financial assistance and incentive programs, local, state, and federal government relations, custom business development research, facilitating regional business collaborations, and conducting regional business-to-business meetings. One of our great success stories that I'll talk a little bit further about in a minute is Plasan Carbon Composites. If any of you follow us or the news, in 2012 we brought an Israeli company that was focusing on carbon composites and those structures, and they came and located in Walker. Just this past year they announced a new expansion where they plan to hire 620 people over the next 3 years. So it's been a great story. And again, just their president saying, thanks to our help, their experience in launching a new facility in West Michigan has been great. Made the decision easy of how and where to expand our next phase of growth. So when we talk about West Michigan, the governor has the state split up into 10 economic development regions. The Upper Peninsula does exist. It just didn't fit on the slide, so we're not trying to slight them in any way. We are Region 4 right here, which encompasses those counties. My focus is mainly on Kent County, and organization-wide, that's really where our focus is. However, we do have a contract with Newaygo, and then I have one colleague who covers Montcalm County exclusively, and another one who covers Ionia. We are chatting with some of the other counties as well, but that's kind of where we focus. If you are doing business in any of the other counties and you're looking for a contact in economic development, just let us know, and we'll be happy to get you in touch with someone. So Region 4, you'll hear a lot, and actually the governor is trying to align most of the state organizations to follow these boundaries as well. So the Michigan Works organizations, some of the planning organizations, we're all trying to get together. Oftentimes you're finding if we want to write a grant, maybe it would be us and 2 counties over here, and then maybe someone up here wanted to do something and they were pulling from other areas. I think the governor used to call it like a spaghetti drawing or something. It was just getting to be a mess. So like he does, he's trying to streamline, make things a little simpler. In 2014, we launched a new strategic plan. And so if you're really wondering, what are our metrics? What are we trying to do at the end of the day? This is it. So for the next 3 years, our goals are to help with creating 5,500 jobs, $183 million in new payroll, an area that's also very important for you all, and then $390 million in capital investments. So that we would see as buildings, machinery, equipment, that sort of thing. We have 5 strategic growth areas, which are the industries that we're most concerned with growing and think we have the best shot at growing here in West Michigan. And then there's some other sort of foundational things, and I'll step here in the light. But we also think that education, healthcare, entrepreneurship, retail and restaurants, and conventions and tourism is sort of the undergirding baseline for the community. And then, though we don't necessarily focus on them exclusively, business support systems, infrastructure, like our roads, work-ready talent, and quality of life are all important to us as well. So at the end of the year, you all have sales goals, I would imagine. These are our goals that we work with here. In 2014, we had a pretty good year. We had 22 completed projects, and what we deem a project is either an expansion or an attraction project that we directly help with, often coupled with incentives from the state or the local, so tax abatements or grant programs, things of that nature. We helped to bring in $315 million of capital investment, which is pretty close to our 3 years, so that goal is probably going to get changed. Our board of directors doesn't let us scoop by. So next time you see me, these numbers will probably be different. 2,183 new and retained jobs, and 75 million in new payroll. Of those projects that we did, 14 were in manufacturing. Again, that's really our bread and butter, where we see the most opportunity, and quite frankly, where a lot of the incentive programs are geared towards. 4 in food processing, 2 in medical device, and 2 in professional services. So let's talk a little bit about 2014 and success stories, and maybe you all will be familiar with some of these names. Perhaps you have moved some of these executives into town, and for that we thank you if you have. The first one was a great project. This is Inglass. This was an Italian company. They're building in Byron Center. They do glass for the automotive industry, I think mainly like rear taillights and things of that nature. Putting up a new facility. They're going to be hiring about 109 people over the next 3 years, which would be about $3.3 million in payroll and a capital investment of $17.6 million. So a great project, and again, we love to see new people from the outside coming in. Obviously, they'll employ a lot of local people as well, but a great opportunity for some of our general contractors to get in there, service, supplies, you name it. It certainly trickles through the economy, and we do encourage people always to be looking to local firms first. Siddick Castle was a huge project for us. This is the one that's going up in Greenville in the old Unisolar facilities. I think we all remember those stories from Electrolux and Solar-Ovonics and some other companies that weren't able to stay there. Siddick Castle is a manufacturer of aluminum wheels. They control about 15% of the worldwide industry in this area. It's a Chinese company. They're investing $300 million into the facilities there. No, I take that back. $120 million, and they'll be hiring 300 people. A great story for Greenville, a community that really needs the investment. And this company saw good things in West Michigan, understood that we have a strong supply chain as well, and that was part of the reason for coming. Plasan Carbon Composites. So the quote from their president was on my first slide. Plasan makes the hoods for the new Corvettes, and they make them out of carbon. And so I've been to the facility and I've lifted one of the hoods, which only weighs about 12 pounds. And so they are doing amazing things, and we talk a lot about the lightweighting of vehicles these days. How are we going to get them to be lighter and faster and still stay on the road and not fly off the road as they're driving? But Plasan is a leader in that area. They're hiring hundreds of people and continue to invest in West Michigan. They were formerly doing some operations out of Vermont. They have an R&D facility in Wixom, and they're quickly becoming a growing presence here in West Michigan. Founders, a name that we all know and are familiar with. Founders, last couple rounds of expansion we've helped them with. They've been able to access a couple state programs. But again, hiring 72 new people over the next 3 years, and with the majority on the manufacturing side, not just the tap house, which is also good, but the manufacturing side. Another $3 million in payroll and capital investment around $40 million. And if you've all seen the expansion, it is huge. People kept telling me, gosh, it's so big, it's so big. And then I actually drove by it, and it's probably like 5 or 6 stories off the backside, and it's just incredible. But an amazing story of how this community has really rallied around, how they sort of, I love their story. They didn't do well until they started making beer that they wanted to make, not the stuff that they thought everyone would drink. And now, obviously, they're amazing. They just had the recent merger with a Spanish company, and this is a label that people know around the world now, which is great for Grand Rapids. Herbrooks is a place that not many of you probably know of, but all of you eat their eggs. They're located out in Ionia County. They are an egg producer. They have thousands and thousands of chickens, and they are one of the main suppliers to McDonald's. So when you eat your Egg McMuffin or maybe your Egg White Delight in the morning, you are supporting a local business. So I'm not necessarily an advocate for fast food, but in this instance, it's okay. But again, great company out in Ionia. It's kind of a sleeper county. We don't hear from them a lot, but when they do come in, it's always millions of dollars in investment. And great jobs for those regions. And again, more people. Urban Seating Company, super excited about this one. They are starting a new line of reclining movie theater seats. So chairs like this, if you go to Celebration Cinemas or AMC or something like that, you will soon be able to recline while you watch the movies. So they're launching that new division. It's about 60 jobs. Don't have the payroll numbers for that, and a couple million in investment. So our strategic industry clusters, I said there's 5 main areas that we see the most promise for in West Michigan. Obviously, smart manufacturing is kind of our bread and butter. One of the reasons why a lot of companies choose to locate here is because of our strong legacy in manufacturing. We've been doing it for about 150 years. We make pretty much everything under the sun here. We have about 2,500 manufacturers in West Michigan, so a lot. Doing everything from furniture to medical device to food. One of my favorite places is the Kellogg's facility on 28th Street. They make Pop-Tarts there. Pop-Tarts turned 50 years old last year. The first one rolled off the line in 1964 at that facility. Today, the process for a Pop-Tart is completely automated. I think it takes about, it's just under an hour. I got to see it happen from a Pop-Tart's inception to the rolling of the dough to the filling, baking, icing into a little foil packet and in the box is about an hour. So it's pretty amazing. They produce 6 million Pop-Tarts a day there, which if you would stretch them end to end, it would go 500 miles. And that's my Pop-Tarts. I don't even eat them. I just think it's really amazing that we do that here. Very iconic breakfast item. Manufacturing continues to rise. You know, I'm not going to go through all these numbers. You hear it in the paper. It's really been a strong, or one of the reasons why Michigan continues to come back and why our jobs continue to go up. We're now at 3.8% unemployment in West Michigan, which is great, but now we're facing a new interesting challenge of not having enough folks to work a job. So we can talk about that in a little bit. Agribusiness and food processing. So I kind of led into that one a little bit. I was just at the Pure Michigan Business Connect Agriculture Summit last Thursday. Agriculture is now $100 billion industry for the state of Michigan. We have the second most diverse agricultural output in the nation, second only to California. We have growers and processors and machine builders and folks all the way through the supply chain who are here and doing things. And we're seeing a lot of great growth in that area. The Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, their director, Jamie Clover Adams, tells a great story about how someday we're going to be supplying food to some of the BRIC countries like China and India. And I think it's just amazing to think that we might grow an apple here that someday ends up in Shanghai. So really great opportunities for that, and we continue to see a lot of good growth there. Life sciences and biotech, we're all very familiar with Medical Mile. You have all probably moved in doctors and researchers and nurses who are all working there. Continues to grow. We have incredible facilities here, incredible researchers. I have some friends who work in some of the buildings. And I don't know if any of you know this, but we have people and patients flying in from Boston and Cincinnati and other parts of the country on a regular basis because they can only get a certain kind of care here in Grand Rapids. And it's really amazing the kind of things that are being done. The medical device side is especially interesting for us. We actually facilitate a consortium of medical device manufacturers, and we have folks in towns that are making knee joints and rib spreaders and surgical masks and all sorts of things that that you would see if you visited a hospital. So again, the variety of things that we're doing here is pretty astounding, and it's all rolling up into one growing economy. Technology and communications is an area that I'm leading in. A lot of you have probably heard the article recently about OST, Open Systems Technologies, a great West Side company. They've recently, their owner and founder just retired, and Meredith Bronk is their new president. So it's awesome to see a female president in the tech industry. That doesn't always happen a lot, but a great story. And this is an industry you're going to continue to hear a lot about. The companies that I'm working with who are here in West Michigan, here in our neighborhoods, they're working with Apple and Amazon and Google and Nest and some of the greatest companies, the most innovative and cutting edge. And a lot of times they're consulting and leading on some of those new projects for them. So the level of talent that we have here is really exciting. And that's one of those stories we're really starting to push. Average salary for a software developer in Grand Rapids is about $84,000. That's a great job. That can buy you a really nice house, right? And so part of our challenge is just getting the word out about West Michigan and the kinds of opportunities that are here. Commercial design is something that has come on recently. We work with site selector consultants, and these are consultants that companies will hire to help them find a new location. They're too busy to go find it themselves, so they'll tell the consultants their criteria, and they will scour the entire United States and maybe the world to figure out where should their next location be. We have them in to visit every couple years or so, and we usually get experienced Grand Rapids to help wine and dine and tour them around. And yes, we are biased, and so we tell them all the great things that are going on. But a lot of them have said to us, why aren't you doing more of a design? The state of Michigan has more industrial designers than any state in the union. You have all this talent here. This is something that's special. You need to do something about that. So we're slowly kind of figuring out what that means to talk more about commercial design, to use it as an attraction piece, but it's something that's also in our wheelhouse. So let's talk about return on investment, right? You all are investors of Right Place. And you want to know, well, what is that doing for us, and what does that mean, and why do I need to care about helping to attract people here and selling them homes? So our job projection for the next 3 years is 5,500 new and retained direct jobs. So there's these multiplier factors that you can that come into play when you talk about manufacturing. Because if I'm making a part, then we have to hire a shipping company that's going to ship the part somewhere, and then somebody's going to have to sell that, and then someone's going to have to service that. And so there's all these trickle-down jobs. So from the 5,500 direct jobs, we will also incur 3,374 indirect jobs, which quickly adds up to almost 9,000 jobs. Now, this is the part that is probably most exciting here. So we want to create 183 million in new payroll. So how's this going to be spent by consumers? Well, we have hotels, which is great, charitable donations, which we love, medical services, insurance, property taxes, rental housing, $8.1 million, home ownership, $20.5 million. So by us creating these 5,500 jobs, what we're hoping then is that you all, just from that, will end up with about $20 million in new home sales. So this is really where it matters. This is where sort of that spin-out effect happens. When we create new jobs in the region, the benefit for everyone else is so much greater. Retail is $29.8 million. So that means people are eating it or buying things that are to the table in the downtown market and Vertigo Records and all those kinds of things. But this is one of the really important pieces for us here, is that new money coming in, so then again, everybody can go spend it on all of these things, which directly comes back to you. In terms of capital investment, we talk about this $390 million that we want to see in buildings and property and other things. A portion of that will go into land. We'll have furniture, miscellaneous personal property, existing buildings, new construction, $43 million. Building leases, 95, and then machinery and equipment, 189 million. And again, we make, I always think these days that people forget that everything is made, right? This computer was made, this chair was made, the carpet was made, the lights are made, and then somebody has to make the machines that make all those things too. And so I think probably some of my favorite tours that I've got to go on is the people who make the machines. And some of them might be 40 feet long to get a process done, right? And somebody's figured out which gears and pulleys and levers and slitters need to go in that to make a product. But again, when we have this kind of investment come in here, it spins out to all of these other things. So why West Michigan? I talked a little bit about our manufacturing legacy here. We have a really robust supply chain. If you want anything made, you need a part of any kind to go into your final part, you can get that done here. And then there's a few other things as well. In terms of location, about 60% of the U.S. lives east of the Mississippi River. So really, if you're thinking about industry and where you're selling product or where you're getting product from, really the majority is over here. So this is just miles of mile radius outside of West Michigan. We do, Birgit will say, Grand Rapids is kind of hard. It's a peninsula, so you really have to want to come here because you got to go up and then go back down if you want to be here. But in terms of proximity, we are really well situated. Our border with Canada is huge in the amount of trade that goes back and forth. And then also some of the shipping lines that come out the East Coast are important as well. By the numbers, so our regional population is about 1.5 million. I don't know if any of you followed what happened with our metropolitan statistical area, which is kind of a geeky thing that I know too much about. But I think it was 3 years ago, they shift the counties that made up our MSA. So it used to be like Kent, Barry, Ionia, and Allegan. And if you add up the population of those 4 counties, it's under 1 million people. Well, then they shifted it to include Ottawa, and I think we dropped Barry or something, and all of a sudden it was over 1 million. So it's funny because all these people were like, oh my gosh, we've grown to be more than 1 million people. This is so exciting. And really, they just changed the count. It's still good for us. It still looks good. Again, Birgit will say, if you go to China, a small town in China is 2 million people. So for us to even be over 1 million is a big deal, and that puts us on the radar. Because when a company's looking here, they want to know, are there going to be enough people for me to hire? And now that we have a regional labor force of about 650,000 people, yeah, there's plenty of people you can hire here. So that lends a degree of confidence to companies when they're thinking about where to locate. Also, our college and university students, 83,000 students. As Krista said, I'm tied very closely to Grand Valley, and I'm really proud to say we're going to graduate our 100,000th student this spring, which is fabulous. But we have about 20 colleges and universities in the area. And that's really huge for companies as well. They want to know, is there a talent pipeline here? Are there research opportunities for me to partner with universities? Am I going to have enough interns and things of that nature? So that's also a win for us. I'm a big fan of the fact that I can get to Detroit in a weekend, I can go to Chicago in a weekend, I can go to Traverse City in a weekend, so really well situated here in West Michigan. Also by the numbers, we have over 135 international companies, which we think is really exciting, the majority of them being German, just with a manufacturing background, but also from Japan, Israel, China. China's really coming on strong. This is 40. We actually have over 50 languages that are commonly being spoken here. I think if you go to the Kentwood Public Schools, they have something like 55 different languages that are first languages being spoken at home. And also, Lisa referenced Booking.com. Part of the reason they decided to locate their customer contact center here is because of our language diversity. They now run 23 languages out of their facility, and they've been able to find the native speakers here in town to support that. 22 publicly traded companies, about $65 billion in gross regional product, about $78 billion in regional imports, and $80 in regional exports. Home of global brands. Again, many of you are familiar with these names. You've probably worked with individuals who either came here for one of these companies or, temped with one of these companies or whatnot. But these companies are all a really big deal. If we think even about Hayworth, Herman Miller, and Steelcase, they set the trends for the furniture industry. We don't sit on anything unless pretty much one of their designers has thought it up and decided that this is the direction the industry is going to go. So I think we forget about that a lot. Wolverine Worldwide, their footprint is huge. Perigo. What I think is really interesting, too, is some of our contract manufacturers that are here. I was in one just yesterday that's contract manufacturer for soap and body wash and whatnot. And one of their big products is the dish soap that they sell at Aldi. So if you go to Aldi and you buy their dish soap, you're actually buying local. So go do that. But also, we have a company in town that does private label toothbrushes and floss. And we have tons of food that's made here that has a label like Kraft or On the Border or even Hershey on it. But those products are actually being made here, which is one of my favorite things. And I probably shouldn't even tell you those brands, but it's happening. Another reason why companies are coming here is just the better business environment that we have these days. The governor and the legislature have done a pretty good job with the environment, getting ready the Michigan business tax. We now have the corporate income tax, which is much more streamlined, much easier. The incentives have changed a little bit, so the mega tax credits have been in the news lately. That was an okay program for when it was, but a company would have to wait until the end of the year and then collect off those income taxes. Now they do upfront grants for competitive situations where we really need to throw in a little something extra for companies. But the environment here is a lot better. I think we've gone from like 39 to 12 in terms of business friendliness, so a lot of good things happening there. Right to work status. I know this was very controversial when it happened, and the way that it happened may not have been everyone's first choice, but the fact of the matter is when we talk about those site selector consultants, there's a lot of people we wouldn't even make the first list for because we were not right to work. And so this has opened up a lot of opportunities for us, just companies even considering Michigan now as an option because we have right to work. The thing that's hard for people, too, is that even though we have unions here, the union relationships here are way better than where you find them in most of the rest of the country. So even if we do have unions, it's a different environment. Wrong direction again. A region of open collaboration. A lot of people have talked about collaboration today, and we have that even in business, which some people quite honestly find kind of freakish when they come here. They say, we host the Manufacturers Council, Supply Chain Council, a Tech Council, and a Medical Device Consortium. And in all of those cases, we have business owners who are meeting together, sharing best practices, letting people walk on their floors, find out how they do things, and they openly share back and forth with one another. And that makes them better, and it makes the region better. And that's why we have some of the best manufacturers in the world. We get companies who come in from outside and they say, GE Aviation is going to let me go see how they do things. They're going to show me their systems. Or Herman Miller is, going to help me understand what their development program looks like. Like, I don't understand why people are doing this. But that is the kind of openness that we have here. And it really, I think it's really part of the reason why our companies are advancing as much as they are and continue to grow. And then, of course, placemaking. Placemaking is a big deal. Ultimately, at the end of the day, someone needs a job in order to move somewhere. Well, I think we read stories all the time. That's not the case, but I still think people need jobs, right? And then they can move places. And while it's important to have a strong business community and to have great incentives and to have the talented workforce and whatnot, a lot of it comes down to place. Occasionally, we'll get a call from someone who says, "I'm considering Grand Rapids," and we say, "Why?" I say, "Well, my uncle has a cottage on Gull Lake, and I always loved going there as a kid. And I know that you guys have a lot going on in manufacturing in West Michigan. I just thought I should put it on the list." And we say, "Okay." We moved a company here, or opened a second location for a California company last fall called Solar Boss. They make combiner boxes for the solar industry. The president had family in town here, kind of grew up vacationing in Michigan, and was looking at Columbus in Indiana and thought, "Oh, maybe I should think about this." Well, they came here. They're paying their assemblers $17 an hour to start, and they recently made a $25,000 donation to Kids Food Basket. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we're doing, and partly because they just love the community, and they wanted to be here and wanted to be a part of it. This last year, I also lost a company to Indianapolis, and they wanted to go there because of the professional sports teams. They said, "We have the farm teams for the Tigers, the Red Wings, the Pistons now." I mean, we got all, but that was not enough for them. And I said, "Okay," and I was really sad, but when you think about that and the opportunities that are here, the arts, I don't need to tell you people these things. You know all these things, but it does make a difference. So, again, just talk about why people are coming here. From a business perspective, it is business first. So it is the manufacturing and the supply chain and the incentives and the good business environment, a strong workforce, and all of those things. But then it's also the community and the place that comes around it. And again, we just want to thank you for all the work that you're doing. And let us be a resource as well. I didn't bring any material with me. You can go on our website. It's chock full of information, or get a hold of me, and I'm happy to drop off some brochures or whatnot. But we love what you're doing, and you all are our first-line ambassadors. We always tell our friends, when you're on a plane and someone apologizes that you're from Michigan when it's the middle of December, don't start a big, long commiseration story with them. Tell them how proud you are of the community and everything else we're doing, because you all are front line. So thanks for the work you do. Thanks for giving me the time today. And I will take any questions.
Thank you, Megan. Great job. Thank you. We do want to open it up to additional questions for Lisa as well, or if you have more questions for Michelle or for Anthony, if you've thought of anything. And again, a big thank you to Experience Grand Rapids, to Local First, and to The Right Place. And we'll open up for any questions.
I got a question for you. Where's the other 18% of the money come from? Why would anybody from outside want to give money to The Right Place in Grand Rapids?
Well, we have a few. I think that the 82% is local businesses. We have a few foundations that we work with, our local municipalities. I don't think that gets counted in there. But we do from time to time. We have some firms from the east side of the state who maybe have a salesperson over here or something. For our investors, there's some networking, some other programs that come along with them. But yeah, people from the east side of the state, I think we have a gentleman who helps startups with fundraising and whatnot out of Chicago who's an investor. Just people who see opportunity in West Michigan and believe in the work we're doing to grow the economy.
So I understand we have a lack of skilled tradesmen for electrical, building, even the manufacturing jobs. What is our community doing for that?
Well, we're doing a lot of things. Thank you for that segue, because this is, I mean, workforce development really is economic development these days. Because again, if we don't have people to work at these companies, they're not going to come here, right? So one of the big things is changing the paradigm about skilled trades and about manufacturing. Raise your hand, I guess, if when you were growing up, your parents told you to go into skilled trades or be in manufacturing.
Actually, my dad did.
Okay. So we have two.
I almost became a mechanic or a plumber.
Okay. So that's just something that's not happening anymore. And granted, we did have a recession, and so a lot of people weren't really pushing their kids into it then. But we have a huge need in that area. And so yeah, plumbers, pipe fitters, electricians, welders. I just shared an article on my LinkedIn the other day. A kid in Texas, it's like his third year of welding. He has a certificate from the community college, making $150 grand. Right, and that's the kind of stuff that's happening here too. I've got a company that will take a kid out of high school if he just shows some aptitude, and a lot of it's work ethic. That's changing a little bit in the workforce. When you're at 3.8% unemployment, you don't have as many options in terms of people to draw from, and so some of them might not be as well suited to the workplace, and we kind of have to reteach them. But one of my local companies, they'll take a kid out of high school, they'll put him through an apprenticeship program where he's going to, or she, is going to GRCC part-time and then working part-time. Once they finish that and get their certificate, they're probably making between $50 and $60, and then they will send them on for their engineering degree at Ferris if they'd like to complete that. The company pays for all the education, and they also have a 15% 401k match. Wow. Right, we're all saying, oh gosh, I'm up to the wrong industry, right? I say it all the time, I'm a nonprofit. I don't know what I'm doing here. I should be welding something right now. But the skilled trades is a real need for us. And so trying to change the paradigm about not everybody has to go to college. Not everybody needs to get an English or a history degree. If you're not well suited to that kind of thing, if your son or daughter doesn't like to sit still in a classroom, but they want to go work with their hands and they want to go make things, we need them so badly to be making things. And you know, with the computer numerical controls and the technology that's involved now too, it's not just pushing buttons. The facilities that our people are working in aren't dirty, they're not unsafe. There's quite a few of them where I'm no lie, would feel very comfortable eating off the floor of. I mean, some of these med device manufacturers, it's a complete clean room, white box situation, right? I mean, you can't let a speck of dust in there at all. So we're doing a ton of work around career exploration. If any of your kids are in the Kent County School District, there's a big event coming up April 28 at DeVos Place called Career Quest. And we're going to have 4 sectors there: healthcare, IT, manufacturing, construction. And it's going to be sort of like a big fair. And they're bringing cranes, and they're bringing machines, and they're bringing in laptops and different things for kids to try out and to explore and just be exposed to. And we're hoping to get about 6,000 kids to go through that day just to learn about different careers that are out there. So if your kids aren't going, call their teacher, call their school. We're doing a lot of those kinds of things. Apprenticeship programs, we're trying to do a whole lot more of those. And then just figuring out, taking an opportunity to try to get back to more career paths. Some of my colleagues who worked back in the training days, like in the late 80s and the 90s, they laugh because it's all cyclical, right? But it used to be about career paths and what direction am I moving into. Now we're a little more test-based, and you know, we've got certain classes that we need to get done when students are in high school. And so just figuring out how do we get these kids better suited to careers and jobs and things of that nature. But thank you for the question, because it is a huge need and something we have to figure out. We can't move people here fast enough, it seems.
So in line with what you just said, that means that the right place does not only work with companies or to bring companies in, but you also work with universities or colleges, or did I misunderstand that?
No, we do to a certain extent. I'll tell you the truth, talent has never been our main focus. It's never been something that we've spent a lot of time on, but because it's the number one need for our companies these days, we're trying to get our arms around it and figure out what role we play here. You know, Grand Rapids Community College and the rest of the community colleges in town are doing a great job. We have Talent 2025 that's identifying best practices. We have Michigan Works that's working with job seekers and putting together programs. The colleges and universities, Kent ISD, there's a lot of players out there, and we don't want to duplicate efforts by any means. So we're just trying to figure out how do we convene, how do we get people talking, how do we make sure that not everybody's doing the same thing. So that's kind of the role we're trying to play there.
Because it's crucial if you bring companies in, and as you know, I heard most recently talking to relocation companies that they say, well, we cannot find people here. So.
Sorry to stall out.
Megan, we've heard for years that all of our kids are leaving us after they graduate from college. I even lost 2 grandchildren. Are they more inclined to stay put now?
I think so. You know, again, forgive me for the reference, but at Grand Valley, I think our retention rate is about 88%. But I happen to be a believer. You know, I left after I graduated. Well, I went away for school, and I came back and forth a few times. You know, I think to a certain degree, there's some kids who just are going to have a bit of wanderlust. They want to go see the world and do other things. Quite frankly, for kids in West Michigan, I think that's great, because we have a very special community, but it is not at all like the rest of the world. So sometimes I think it's good to go get a dose of reality and then come back. I've gotten to live.
And they do come back. I mean, if anybody who hires people really looks for people who have previously lived in Grand Rapids, because they know what it's all about. They don't have to worry about them going, and they all come back. I had 2 kids that went out to New York. They're all back.
Yeah.
They know what it's about.
So Hello West Michigan, which is an employer-sponsored nonprofit that's dedicated to bringing back talent, reconnecting talent, doing things of that nature. They talk with a lot of what we call boomerangs or Michiganders, if you will. And I myself am one. But we're finding a lot that really people will go, they'll be gone for 5 to 10 years, they'll get married, they'll have their first kid, and then the free babysitting sounds really enticing. No, for real, like, this is what's happening. And so then they start looking back. We hosted an event the night before Thanksgiving, which Ashley has been kind enough to come to a couple years, called Rethink West Michigan. And the whole idea is for people who are coming back at the holidays who have any interest at all in maybe moving back to West Michigan, we put a beer in their hand, we send them to Eve, and we have them talk with employers about opportunities that are here. Lisa shared with us this year, we talk about the community, we talk about the things that are going on here. We talk about the fact that, you know, this isn't 1995 anymore, and we have a thriving downtown and lots of interesting things to do, and Fortune 500 companies that are waiting to hire these people. We have about 40 member companies with Hello West Michigan. On any given day, we have about 800 openings between those 40 companies. And granted, some of them are global, not all the positions are here, and Spectrum Health generally takes up about 300 or 400 of them. But there are very real opportunities here. We're just trying to do a better job of connecting people. So I do think they're coming back. I think we're going to see them continue to come. What will be interesting probably for all of you is if they're going to want to come back and live in urban settings, like maybe they do if they live in Chicago or New York or LA, or you know, if they're going to move to out neighborhoods or what that looks like. Obviously, housing downtown is a challenge right now, but we're working.
My son graduated from Grand Valley with computer information systems and a engineering degree, and he's working out in Silicon Valley. He's been there, about, 3 or 4 years. He can't wait to go back home. So
Great.
We're excited about that.
Get my card. I will personally introduce him to all of my tech companies. I'm sure they love him. Or JCI or Steelcase or any. That's the thing. There's so many opportunities here that people just kind of forget about. Yeah.
And what Hello West Michigan does is they help with the trailing spouse or partner to help them place.
Yeah, she actually she's getting her chiropractic doctorate degree out there. So they'll both be coming here looking for jobs. So,
Great. Good.
Yeah.
We're
We're excited.
Yes.
For a new manufacturer that wants to come in, how are we doing on available space?
terrible. Yeah. So
Same problem you guys
I
face.
think fourth quarter of 2014, Collier's report was that we are at 93% occupancy for industrial space. And so, you know, we have all these good problems, right? Not enough talent, not enough space. But the thing that's hard for us is a lot of times these site selector consultants will send out RFPs, and they'll send them to specific states or cities where they're interested in locating. And quite often it will say, looking for 120,000 square feet, 30-foot clear, 12 bays, parking for 60 people, standalone building, heavy power. We just don't have that. And we're at a funny spot too in the market where banks aren't quite ready to lend on spec yet because they got in trouble for that once before. And so we just don't have as much product to show to people. So it makes it tough for us. And I'm sure we've lost out on lots of opportunities just because we didn't have the space or a place to put them. The other thing that's been challenging is a lot of my companies that are downtown, growing, want to stay downtown now because they know their employees want to be downtown. They want to go to Founders after work or head to the gym or whatever. And there's no space for them downtown. And so now they're having to go out to the airport or Walker or somewhere northwest where there's available land. So yeah, space on the industrial side is a real challenge for us right now. We do have land, but again, people have been getting really awesome rent rates for the last few years too. So they're not ready to pay, $40, $50 a square foot to put up a new facility. So that's been hard.
It's changing. It's ramping up. It's changing.
Yeah, for sure. I had a company the other day. They're in a building downtown. Granted, not the nicest building, but for what they needed it for, they were fine. The space inside was okay for them. They're paying like $1.25 or something. And they're like, we'd like to stay under $2. Yeah. I said, well, you're going to need to stay there because that's where I'm going to put you for this.
It's probably Langlois buildings. Yeah.
And it's just, but that's what people are used to now, right? And so moving them out of that mentality is kind of hard.
Thank you all again for joining us today. On behalf of the Strategic Relations Task Force, we appreciate you being here and supporting our collaboration with these great community members and community partners. It makes a huge difference. Con Ed information will be emailed to you, just a reminder on that. And again, we want to thank our sponsor today, Lake Michigan Credit Union. Thank you very much for helping to make this possible. Special thank you to our speakers today, to Experience Grand Rapids, Lisa Verhill, to Michelle Lonergan and Anthony with Local First, and also to Megan Saul with The Right Place. Great information. Thank you so much.